Hey YouTube, this is Alexander, and Apple's WWDC 2014 finished a little while ago. For those of you who don't know, that is Apple's worldwide developer conference where they announce new things for developers and consumers alike. And while there was a lot that they covered today, I thought I'd just focus on one thing, and that one thing is iOS 8. So I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts on iOS 8. So let's go ahead and get started. So as mentioned, there were a lot of things covered, and one of those things was iOS 8, which does remind me a lot of another operating system, at least the features that they introduced. For example, you now have predictive keyboard, so when you're typing out a message, you will now get suggested words based on what's going on in that conversation. You have the ability to change your keyboard, so third-party support for other keyboards. If you don't like your keyboard, you can go ahead and change that out and get a new one. You now also have access to Siri without using your hand. So if your iDevice is plugged in and you say, "Hey Siri," much like "Okay Google," you can have access to Siri and dictate commands and things like that, search for stuff. You also have actionable notifications, so if you wanted to delete or reply to a message from the notification bar, I guess, up there where the notification comes in, you can now do that without actually opening the notification, which is all stuff that sort of reminds me of Android. You also have the ability to do a song recognition using, I think it's Siri, but it basically uses Shazam to recognize what song is playing around you, much like Google already does. But again, all of these things are really nice, and even though Google already has them, or maybe even other operating systems have had them before Google had them with Android, it's still really nice to see Apple sort of catching up to the rest of the crowd with these features and bringing them to their iOS users. So a couple things with messaging: you have the ability to send voice messages, and if you get a notification on your lock screen, you can actually reply to it by just holding the phone up to your ear, dictating whatever voice message you want to send, and then bring it back down, and then just hitting send. I think it's a cool thing, but I also think it's weird, and I would personally never ever use it. I just find something weird about holding a phone up to your head and not actually talking to somebody. That to me just kind of seems a little weird, so I honestly wouldn't use that. But the voice messages feature is pretty cool. Of course, if you don't want to hold it up to your ear like I wouldn't, you could also just tap into the notification and dictate whatever the message is going to be that way. You can also send videos and send multiple photos at once in messaging. That is a really cool feature that I wish Android had, actually. There are times I can call upon where I wish I was able to send more than one photo because I'm just lagging behind on sending those photos, or I've got a couple to send and I just want to get them out, but I got to do it one by one. So that's a really cool feature, actually. And they've also added a Snapchat-like ability where you can actually have the photos self-destruct. I think that goes for videos and voice messages as well after a specified time. So, you know, that's kind of cool. If you're already on Snapchat, I wouldn't imagine somebody getting off of Snapchat for that feature. But again, it's cool nonetheless. You also have more options in group messages. So for example, if you wanted to mute a group message because it's bombarding you with notifications, you can also do that. So that's kind of meh stuff to me. I mean, I don't really group message, so it's not that big a deal. Something that actually is pretty cool is there's an option to easily see all of the attachments that have been sent between you and the recipients in that group conversation. So for example, if you guys have sent pictures or locations or videos, and I think videos and audio messages also are going to be included in that list, there's an easy to get to area where you can see all of that stuff where you guys have been sending to each other. That feature is really cool, and I wish that Android would actually do something like that, because even though I don't group message, as I mentioned, messaging with another person and then wanting to see all of the photos, I gotta swipe through every single photo, and that can kind of be a little cumbersome. So it'd be kind of cool if right from the conversation I can actually just check out what recent photos we've been sending, maybe like in the past 2 days. That would be pretty cool. They also announced a new health app, and I wanted to pose a question to you guys. Do you think that health apps are actually here to stay and are going to be used by the average consumer? Or do you think they're sort of like a fad where Samsung and Apple are introducing these health apps and they're just going to be another app that sits there until it's hidden in the app drawer or it's stuffed into a folder labeled "Do Not Use"? So let me know what you guys think down below if you guys have an opinion on that. For me, I don't really use health apps, so it's not really a huge thing for me. So meh, I guess. They also added Spotlight, which is sort of like Google Now in a way. I guess if you just swipe down from the top in a home screen, you can go ahead and search things like movies that are playing nearby and other maybe attractions nearby, and of course you still have all of your app search. but it's of course not as robust as Google now. So for those of you who aren't really tied into the Google ecosystem, but you still want to be able to search and get things quickly, I guess that works. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing in Spotlight, but for me it's just meh. Now something that they announced that I thought honestly was just kind of weird, at least the implementation of it, was the recent contacts and favorite. So when you double tap the home button, you now have access to your most recent contacts and a list of your favorite contacts for quick messaging, quick calling, quick FaceTiming, other things like that. And I just thought sticking favorites and most recent contacts into the multitasking, is just a weird way to do it. I mean, I understand that they want to get this information out to people quickly, and it sort of makes sense putting it in with the multitasking, but it just seems a little weird to me. Maybe it's because the contacts are circles, whereas the multitasking apps cards are squares, so maybe that is kind of what's throwing me off. It seems a little weird because you've got circles and squares right next to each other, and it just seems a little odd. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, but I just thought it was an odd implementation of recents and favorites. You've also got easy to flag and unread and read and things like that in the Mail app, so it sort of reminds me of Mailbox, but I guess if you guys are into that, that's cool then. Now, they didn't actually give this feature a name, but I thought it was kind of cool. I guess I would just say quick access to your draft. So it's where you're composing an email and you need to get something from another place in your phone quickly. Rather than save it as a draft, you can actually just swipe the header of that email down and it'll appear at the bottom of the application in Mail. You can go to another email, copy and paste whatever you need to get, and then swipe back up from the bottom to get access to that email that you were just composing, and then paste it in there and be on your way. That feature is actually really cool because it doesn't save as a draft, and it still gives you quick access to it like a draft. Everything is just paused right there and you can just swipe back up to get access to it again. I thought that feature was actually pretty cool. So all of this stuff is pretty new for iOS users, of course. The third-party support for keyboards. You've also got a little bit more flexibility with the widgets. You have actionable notifications, you've got health stuff, hands-free Siri, photo stuff, messaging things. There's a lot that I didn't even cover because I don't want this video to be super long. It's not the actual keynote, obviously. But all this stuff overall is pretty cool for iOS users. Of course, since I'm an Android guy, I'm gonna sort of look at it and say, well, I've already had this for a little while, so it's not really that big of a deal. But some of it, like I mentioned, is actually cool that I would like to see on Android. Overall, it's a really nice update, but I don't know if it should have been labeled iOS 8. It seemed like small features and improvements here and there that actually could have been thrown into iOS 7, or at least a lot of them could have, and maybe labeled as a 7.5 or point update. But we know Apple doesn't really do that. So it's iOS 8. Now the beta is going to be available today sometime, if not already by the time this video goes live, for developers, and it will be available for everyone in the fall. Now by everyone, I mean those who are running an iPhone 4S or higher, an iPod Touch 5th generation, or an iPad 2nd generation and higher. So that's going to pretty much end the video. iOS 8 feels like it should have been named iOS 7.5. That's going to pretty much end the video. Let me know what you guys think about iOS 8 with a comment down below, or maybe your favorite feature or addition of iOS 8. Like I said, that's going to end the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe down there for more, and don't forget to follow me on my Google+, Twitter, and Instagram. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.